Success in business requires training and discipline and hard work. But if you're not frightened by these things, the opportunities are just as great today as they ever were. David Rockefeller. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. On today's episode, we are wrapping up the Kickstart Your Business series. And we've covered a lot. We've gone over pretty much all of the basics to getting your business started. But in this last section, I want to talk about 3 things, really. I want to talk to you about some of the things that people don't tell you when you get started. And the second thing is clearing the road to entrepreneurial success. What does that mean? What does that take? What does that look like? And thirdly is, are you ready? And if you are, now the real work begins. But don't let that scare you. So first, the things that people don't tell you. Or I should say, these are things that for me, I just had no idea about. Coming from corporate America, these are just things I did not have to deal with in my job as a benefits broker. And these things shocked me, kind of rocked my boat a little bit, but I learned as I went, and I'm still learning. But the first is, before you hire someone, keep in mind that that person that you're bringing on should result in creating 3 times their income. This could be via freeing you up so you can make 3 times their income, or they're coming in a position where they can make 3 times or more of their income. So, for example, if you're offering a $50,000 per year salary, they should be adding a minimum of $150,000 to the revenue line of your business. Here's why this insight matters. Ethan and I were a full 10 years into our business journey before we ever came across this hiring formula. And I think we heard about it from a business coach or a fellow entrepreneur. I don't really remember. But having this knowledge from the get-go could have significantly sharpened our hiring decisions. Now, I'm not saying that we could have predicted the future success of every new hire. However, setting the expectation that each employee should aim to generate 3 times their salary in revenue equips you truly with a clear target. And with this approach, achieving your goals becomes much more about strategic planning and less about wishful thinking. And I oftentimes, looking back on it, know that we went into hiring people with wishful thinking. I can remember when we first moved into our building and we opened our store, we thought we were going to be so busy and we were going to have all of this work coming in. We hired for 3 shifts in our production department. Truly kind of young and dumb in the entrepreneurial space. We've gotten much better now, but back then, just young and dumb. A second part to that also I didn't know about was if you have that $50,000 in income, that's just simply not your only expenses. If you offer benefits, that is an additional cost. Also, companies have to match Social Security and Medicare contributions. And if you don't know about that, if you look at your paycheck right now as you're working for a company, you will see that you're paying a percentage off of each paycheck towards Medicare and Social Security. Now, the hopes is that when you retire at 65 or 70, then, or somewhere in between, then you will draw your Social Security and you will have Medicare benefits. Well, your employer actually has to match that number. So once you become the employer, that is an additional expense to your business. You will match your employees 6.2% of income towards Social Security and 1.45% of income towards Medicare. In addition to that, you have to pay a percent of your employees' income into a state and federal unemployment fund. In Georgia, the taxable wage base is $9,500. When we started in our business, it was $8,000. And so basically the first $8,000, well, at the time, $8,000, but now $9,500. The first $9,500 of your employee's income is taxed a percentage. That percentage is determined by how long you've been in business and how many unemployment claims you've had. So I think initially when we started, our percentage rate was like 2.7%, which was the highest percentage. Now this year, we're down to 0.04%, which means we're doing good. We've been in business a long time. We haven't had a lot of unemployment claims. So our rate is not very high on that $9,500 base. But just keep that in mind. That is an expense that you will have. Another expense that we don't often think about is workers' comp insurance. Now, this was something I actually did know about because I interned at an insurance company in the workers' comp department when I was in college as an insurance major. But what I didn't know is that once you have these 3 employees and you have to implement workers' comp insurance and you have to count yourself as an employee in this 3-person count, then the cost of workers' comp insurance is based on the work or the job description of the people you're hiring. So in our company, for example, an embroiderer is more expensive than someone who's doing an administrative task. And the cost is based on $100 of payroll per $100 of payroll actually that you're covering each month or each year. And typically there will be an end of year audit. So if your team member actually makes more than you estimated them to make, then you could possibly owe money on your workers' comp insurance because it's based on the amount of payroll. Had no idea that was how that was calculated, even though, again, I worked in the workers' comp department. So just another thing that I went into business not knowing. Another thing that I had really no clue about was hiring and managing people. I always considered myself a people person, and I thought, surely this can't be that hard. But we had to get systems in place and read a lot of books around hiring. We read the book Top Grading, which was very helpful. We also implemented programs like Hireology and Indeed, where it kind of walks you through the process of hiring someone. And everything is kept in one portal for everyone who's interested in a job. That was very helpful once we implemented those programs. But the biggest lesson I've learned is to follow my gut when it comes to hiring. This one has been a rocky road because I haven't always followed my gut. And typically when I didn't do that, I always regretted it. And I'm just now really listening to my gut. Even on a phone interview, if it's just something doesn't feel right, I just have to go with my gut. And so that was tough for me. And then when it comes to managing people, I lean on treating people the way I'd want to be treated. And most of us want to be treated well. Most of us don't want to be treated badly. So I like to thank my team members often. I like to give them feedback, both positive and negative if it's needed. But I want to always give it to them with care and with concern. I want them to know that I do care and I am concerned for them. So again, those are the types of things that I lean on when it comes to managing people. But I've also read a lot of management books as well. And I do recommend that, as you're going through this journey, as you're looking to hire people, manage people, pick up some books and learn. Always be willing to learn and be open. Okay, I have one more thing that I learned the hard way and just really didn't think about it. I went into our business wanting to be a lot like the big company I worked for. So I wanted to make sure we had benefits and we did all the things that big companies could do. And so like any business, we had seasonality. And in that seasonality, our goal was always to make sure we kept everyone on payroll despite the money not being there. And so we actually went into debt doing that. If I could turn back the hands of time, I would take a different approach. Perhaps, of course, hindsight is always 20/20. I didn't really realize how seasonal our business would be. And it's not as seasonal now as it used to be then because we've made up that difference. But back then, I wish I would have just operated a little bit differently and not added debt to our balance sheet. So that was a hard lesson, and a lesson, honestly, that we still kind of are in, because the debt is still there to some degree. If you've been listening to this Kickstart Your Business series and you've decided to give it a shot, you're going to start your own business, you're going to do it via a side hustle or your main hustle, I applaud you. Personally, I think it's really great to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, you learn from that. And if it works, fantastic. But you don't want to have regrets in life, or at least that's how I live. I don't want to have regrets. And so I want to cover next, just kind of clearing the road to entrepreneurial success and what that looks like. And I view it in kind of 3 buckets, things that you should think about to just prepare yourself. And one is, once you get started, finding a group, finding a person, finding someone that you can talk to who understands the shoes you're walking in. So finding another entrepreneur, finding a mastermind, finding a group of people. And I'm not necessarily saying spend a whole lot of money for this, but finding someone that you can just simply talk to about what you're dealing with in your business. Run ideas by them, get thoughts around what you're doing, get a mentor, but have someone. And as your business grows, this may change. You might start off with just someone who's a mentor initially, and then you decide to join a group, or you may decide to become a part of a mastermind. But you do need someone. Don't live in this entrepreneurial bubble alone. And I think listening to podcasts are great. I still listen to so many podcasts in regards to business, be it marketing, be it how to have effective teams, a variety of things. But having someone that you can talk to on a weekly or monthly basis is just very helpful. Number 2 is determining your own self-care routine. This is something that I did not do early on because I was young and I was like, I'm just going to grind. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to make this business work. We're focusing on strategy. We're focusing on growth. We're focusing on scaling. And it was fun for me. But I realized a couple of years ago that I was burnt out, and I'm still burnt out a little bit. And that is why I have to make sure I get massages. I take breaks. I now work in the office 2 to 3 days a week instead of every single day. There were days when I would be in the office starting at 8 a.m. and not leave until 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. And this is even when I had kids. And so they're getting home late with us. And it was just crazy. But it was something we did to grind and to help our business be successful. You may have to do that, but also I would stress to you to take a moment and figure out how you're going to care for yourself, to ensure that you get your physicals every year, to make sure you're taking your vitamins, whatever it is you need, just make sure you're taking care of yourself, because you can't do anything for your business or for anyone else if you're not taking care of yourself. And the last thing is, I want to circle back to the quote at the top. Success in business requires training and discipline and hard work. But if you're not frightened by these things, the opportunities are just as great today as they ever were. So this quote is from David Rockefeller. He died in 2017, so I'm not exactly sure when he stated this quote. But I believe him. I do believe that opportunities today are just as great as they ever were. There are so many new things coming out. AI is amazing. It can be so helpful in your business. Ethan has created a whole program around marketing and AI and how to implement that in your business. It's amazing. There's also training classes for just about everything. There are conferences for every industry and every interest. You can find out how to do a multitude of things simply on YouTube. So the opportunities today are truly endless. The third point is that you will have to give up something. You will have to have discipline. It won't always be easy. Sometimes you may have to sacrifice time with your family, with your friends, with watching TV or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, though, you want to understand that giving up that time will reap some rewards. And perhaps it actually down the road will free up time. Or one of the things that someone told me once, and I love this, she said that she and her husband, they're in business together as well, like Ethan and I, and they knew they had a rough 6 months coming up. They just knew they had a lot of work to do. And they sat down with their kids and they said, look, the next 6 months are going to be rough. We have a lot going on. We're going to be here for you as much as we can because family is so important. However, at the end of this 6 months, we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate getting through it, and we're going to take a vacation. We're going to have fun. And so I recognize that life is short and no time is promised, but having those conversations with your kids or with your family or with your friends can be helpful. Because as an entrepreneur, especially new to the game, you will have to sacrifice some things in order to really spend time on your business. And if you're doing it as a side hustle, you're definitely going to give up time because you have a full-time job. And then you have this part-time thing that you're working on to grow and nurture. And perhaps the goal is to turn it into full-time, or perhaps the goal is just to save extra money, to put extra in retirement from that side hustle. But determine your own goals and then understand that there may be some sacrifices in order to reach those goals. But it's all about intentionality and determining what your intentions are to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish. And it's all about what you want to accomplish, or your family, because if you're not in it by yourself, then those are conversations you need to have with your spouse and or your children, if they're old enough to understand it. So be okay knowing you'll have to give up some things. That doesn't mean that you have to give up everything, but you may have to sacrifice money, time, fun. But for me, running my business is fun. Now, there are definitely times when I'm stressed out about it. There are definitely times, and there are definitely things that I don't enjoy doing, and I'm working really hard to get those off my plate. But at the end of the day, I love to think about strategy. I love to think about how to grow our people, how to grow our business, how to scale, how to do all of the things, how to reach more people in the world. That's fun for me. And I want you to make sure that you're having fun in your business. If it's not fun or you're not passionate about it, it can be really hard to push through the hard times. So just think about that. I'm going to stop harping on this, but if entrepreneurship is for you, I think it's great. And if it's not, it is okay. Okay, so this is my last point on this episode. If you have decided that entrepreneurship is for you and you've done all the steps that we've talked about in this Kickstart Your Business series, you've gotten your registrations, you started doing your marketing, you've gotten your pricing right, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting your business out there into the world, then I say ready, set, go. You will hit hard times. There may be tears, or maybe that's just for me. I've had tears for sure. But what I don't want you to do is give up on yourself. Believe in you. And I love Nike's tagline. I guess they still use this, just do it, the just do it, right? But give yourself a chance. Believe in you and bet on yourself. And I say it in every intro. I think if people have been listening to the podcast a while, they probably fast forward past this part, or at least I do it on podcasts. But I often say I want to be your biz bestie, and I do. If you have questions as you walk through starting your business, email me. My email is monica@monicaallen.com, or message me on Instagram at the Become Your Own Boss podcast. You can message me. I do respond to my own messages, even though I have a virtual assistant, or I have two actually, but they don't respond to my DMs. I do. So message me with questions. And if you've gotten started on your business and you want, or you may be interested, I am going to begin doing small business audits on the podcast. And this will be an opportunity for you to come on the podcast. We can talk through your business. We can talk about the things you're dealing with that may be a struggle, or the things that you're winning in and you feel really good about, but you may just have a question on or a concern. That is one thing that I do plan on doing in the next few months, is launching the small business audits. And you can come onto the podcast and we can talk about your business. I'm very excited about this because, again, I want to be your biz bestie, and I love, love, love talking about people's businesses, thinking on marketing strategy, going over SWOT analysis, all of that good stuff. It is so fun for me. That's it for today. I want to thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful for you. Take a moment to go over and rate the podcast. Leave a review if you would like. That would be amazing. And share the podcast with someone that may be thinking about jumping on the entrepreneurial journey. Share the Kickstart Your Business series with them. Remember, now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.